the intro. Good day, hikers, and welcome to the 2020 Hike the Highlands Virtual Festival. My name is Tom Wilson. I'll be your host today, and the topic we're discussing is hiking during COVID-19 and trail etiquette. My guest today is Leonard LeBlanc, president of Lay Hikers in Cheticamp, and their organization recently formed a couple of years ago. They now have over 1,200 members on their Facebook group page, and they'll be hosting the Hikers Summit for Nova Scotia in 2021. Welcome, Leonard.
Good morning, Tom.
As many of us realize in February, our lives changed dramatically with COVID-19. And the first question I'd like to ask you is, how did Lay's Hiker deal with the changes and the restrictions of COVID-19 in hiking?
Well, the first thing when the curve arrived and kept climbing, the first thing we did was cancel organized hikes, because we felt it wasn't safe at all. I mean, we heeded the message from our premier. It was pretty well stay home. So we did that. And then after a while, my wife and I started hiking privately in the woods, because as you know, going in the woods is not just good for the body and the soul, but it's good for the brain. That's also right. To get out, and you can't get COVID from a spruce tree. So we had, after a while being on conference calls for 5-6 hours, I had to get out and recharge my cells a bit.
Yes.
And there's nothing like going in the woods.
Now, you were scheduled to host the Hiker Summit for Nova Scotia in June. It was June of 2020. I would assume that COVID-19 restrictions made that impossible for this year.
No, I agree. Quickly, we realized that although it sold out in a week and a half, and at that, the number had been cut to 150 by Premier McNeil, and it sold out in a week and a half, we still decided that it wasn't safe to hold it, and then we couldn't meet the criteria, and we didn't actually know what the criteria would be in June. So come March, April, we knew that we had to pull the plug for this year. But all the key pieces, all the organizational factors are in place for next year, and we're quite excited about having it for next year, providing COVID allows it. I mean, the rest is in place.
That's right. Yes. So even though I know that you're hiking now, because I see your pictures all the time. And by the way, congrats on the new camera. That's a really nice camera.
Thank you.
I can't believe how much it can zoom.
Oh, it's unreal what I can pick up.
Oh, it's amazing. So now that you're out hiking now and the restrictions have kind of loosened a little bit, I'm curious, over in the Cheticamp side of the national park, how hikers are adapting to these restrictions. Are they following the 6 meters or 6 feet in between each hiker? And I know that in my side of the island, they seem to be following the 6 feet behind each hiker, but it's the 6 feet when somebody comes close to you passing by. They're not doing that so much. How are hikers adapting with the COVID-19 restrictions?
Well, I think the first thing we did was restrict the number of people we actually take on any hike.
Sure.
To make sure that we had a group that was manageable. We do promote the social distancing. Yep. But to your point, when you say, sometimes it's impossible to keep that 6 meter, because you got a large dip on one side and you got a cliff on the other side. So somehow you got to meet, either you cover your mouth or with whatever you have handy,
Yep.
and you try to go up the cliff as much as you can to allow for other people to maneuver.
Yep.
But most hikers that we've met all along have been very conscious of that and are respectful of each other,
Yep.
and are doing the best they can. Now, there's occasions where it's not an issue. There's all kinds of space to go by, but everybody I've seen and witnessed are doing their best in respecting this, that 6 feet rule.
Yes.
Going up, we do have hikers that are faster than others, so it makes it somewhat easier to have that spacing because you have it naturally,
Yes.
just because of the what hikers can actually do going up. So that works. Some of the issues we've had is when we reach our destination, to advise people, the 6 feet rule still applies. You've reached your destination.
Yes.
But we still spreading on when we get to our destination, and even when we arrive, we tend not to shake hands. We give elbows instead, and we applaud our success because, as you know, hiking is one of the events that you basically put your body through hell, and when you come back, you say, "Gee, that was great. That was a lot of fun."
Yeah, I know that in my case, walking and hiking kind of helped me get through the COVID-19 because I couldn't stay. I had to get outside and do things. And so I try to walk every day, and it certainly helps my mental health as well and physical, to continue on, because if you just follow all the restrictions and stay inside all the time, you get bored pretty quick.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, it was a salvation and a cheap medication to
Yes.
get out and walk, and I would advise everybody if they can to get out and move, and not stay home and worry about the crisis, because the crisis is going to happen.
Yes.
Whether we're in a row, we just try to respect the rules and move. I mean, what it gave us, Annette and I, was a chance to explore our own background here in the mountains, where I hadn't been for 40 years. I mean, we pretty well checked out every trail. Some of it ended up at a chopping, but some of it ended up at a very, very neat opportunity to have a good view. So that was very interesting for us, that we had a chance to explore. And it's unreal what everybody has in their backyards. I mean, they tend to drive to the noted trails that are advertised,
Right.
but everybody's got something in their backyard they can explore, I'm sure. And we took that opportunity here to go out and bend a few trees and have a look and see what we had here. And we even did some night hikes sometimes with social distancing, and just
Yes.
invited a few
Yep.
to
Yeah,
get people moving. And
I saw a couple
so
of
it's
pictures of sunset hikes.
yes,
Yep.
we've started doing quite a few of them.
Yes. Yeah. Um, Now, are you finding parking lots getting filled pretty quick over your way?
Well, I think at first it was not an issue, but this past weekend we counted something like 16 or 17 cars at Blueberry, at Cape Rouge
Yep.
Local, which is not the norm until now.
Okay.
There's been a lot more in it's mainly Nova Scotia plate, which is good to see.
Yep.
But places like the gypsum mine, it's a big issue.
Yes.
Like the parking lot's been expanded threefolds, and still there's cars parking on the shoulders for about almost half a kilometer
Wow.
in some days. So that's a big issue. It's not. I don't think the system is working well there.
No.
But overall, the trails we've been on, it's been pretty good.
Yeah. No. Some of my relatives were down last weekend in Ingonish, and we went to Middlehead on Saturday to do an early hike, just to avoid all the people and stuff. And we were the only car in the parking lot when we arrived, just a little before 8. And when we came back, there was only one other car.
That's,
So
that's,
that was strange because if you said this last year, the parking lot would be full.
oh God, yeah, there's no comparison. I mean, hopefully we'll get back to that because we need tourists,
Yes.
and it's good to have them around. But this year it's strange. I mean, you see four cars in a row. You're saying, "What's going on?
Yeah, no,
What happened?"
that's true. Yeah,
and so, no, it's not the norm, but we're all doing the best we can
that's right.
with the situation.
Yeah. Um, Now, one of the things that we learned this year was it, it was still important for us to continue on, just like you guys are doing with your hikes. And so we organized a virtual festival. Now, I'm curious for your organization that if things don't change for next year, do you think there'll be any more changes like in terms of your organization and different activities?
Well, I think we're basically coming from a wait and see attitude. See what we'll be confronting next year.
Yep.
It's kind of early to plan right now. But one thing we did try to do was on the day for the Acadians, which was August 15th, we had committed to do a hike in kind of one that we'd do in the park in the Vieux Chemin de Cap Rouge, which is kind of an historical site, and we were going to have interpretation and music and Acadian food, and invite people to join us to learn and for even for Acadians to remember, and Anglophones to come and join and participate. But we had to postpone it, and Heritage Canada has given us till March 31st of next year to do something. So maybe we will have to revert to some kind of virtual hike of some kind
Yes.
to do that. But we're planning to do it this fall if we can, with the Corporation of Parks Canada, to get it done before this possible second curve, to get something done, because it would be great to do that. I think there's a lot of history on this side as there is on your side,
Yes.
and so we have to continue reminding ourselves of what the past was.
That's right. Um, it's amazing how many virtual events are going on this year. I'm registered for 10. I think I've completed 5 so far. And I give you an example, Heartland Tour, which is more or less a cycling event. They did a virtual event. You could hike, walk, or cycle. And they had over 2,700 people be involved in that event. The Terry Fox run this year is going to be all virtual. And I'm sure they'll do well because this is its 40th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that I competed in. It's the Ring of Kerry over in Ireland. It's 124 miles. They had over 13,000 people register for that event. I'm just saying, well, maybe that's the new norm.
well, one good thing about it is that they're easier to do virtually than if you were there.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a big difference, but it's hopefully next year things will change and get back to somewhat of a normal factor. Then we can move a little easier, and actually, if you feel like hugging someone and they want to be hugged, you can actually do it, or shaking hands with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things that I miss this year is all the hugs because you can't do that anymore.
No. It's but I mean, even getting close to somebody, you got to keep an arm's length of everyone. And after a while, your throat gets kind of sore if you keep talking from a certain
Yeah,
distance.
that's true.
But
Yeah.
and I'm sure some hikers are shy about showing up
Yeah.
because of the COVID. So far we've had pretty well the same people in our bubble attaining our hikes or attending our hikes. So it's been pretty good, and we've had some amazing hikes with amazing views that we share online that if people don't want to move, at least they can go and look at the pictures
Yes.
and, and enjoy. And it's always also a way of promoting our area for, if not now, for the future.
Yes. I saw the pictures. I think it was maybe just this past weekend where you guys were in on the North Shore where I live, and you were Jerome and um,
Brenda.
yeah, Brenda did the Spinningen tour for you.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Yeah, that must have been quite a hike.
Yes, that was our first time there. We've tried to organize that one for 4 years, but every time something would come up. But yesterday, the weather was perfect.
Yes.
It was kind of breezy on top, which was okay. There's no mosquitoes.
Yes.
But what a view from up there. It is spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah, the pictures were really good. Yeah, so how long is your Zoom?
Oh, well, to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure. All I know is that it captures something from a distance. I'm sort of playing with it, trying to get used to it.
Yep.
I kind of taking the attitude that I don't want to learn too much because people will expect something.
Good pictures all the time, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to stay an amateur for quite a while and learn how to play with it and learn how to delete my mistakes.
Yep.
Very, very, very quickly. But I'm having fun.
Yeah, just so you know that your Zoom is 125 octable Zoom. So that's pretty amazing because the one before that was only 83. That was the biggest one
Oh yeah.
Nikon ever had.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it can reach. Well, it can reach the moon.
Oh, yes, yes, for sure. Well, Leonard, I'd just like to, on behalf of Hike to Highlands Festival Society, thank you for joining us today and giving us your knowledge and experience and comments on how your organization is coping during COVID-19. And we wish you a great fall hiking season and hope to see you at the hiking summit next year.
Well, I really appreciate having the opportunity to participate, and it was great. And I'm sure you're going to have comments that are common amongst us.
Yes.
By the time you interview your entire panel, but if we hook up anytime, just give me a ring.
Okay. Thanks, Leonard.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.